The wind howled against the glass-paneled walls of my father's lakeside villa in Vermont, but it was nothing compared to the storm brewing in the dining room. "Congratulations, Ryan," my father said, sliding a heavy envelope across the table to my younger brother. "You've earned it. The deed to the villa, the company, the offshore accounts. All his." I sat across the oak table, 34 years old and suddenly feeling 10. My palms were cold against my slacks as I struggled to hold myself together. Ryan avoided my eyes, lips drawn tight, his gaze fixed on the table. My stepmother fidgeted with her necklace, eyes glued to the floor. Then my father turned to me. "And you, Ava," he sneered. "You've always been a dreamer. Weak. Too compassionate to survive in the real world." My stomach dropped. There were 4 others in the room: my father, Ryan, my stepmother, and the attorney, but I had never felt more alone. He pushed a stack of papers toward the man in the suit. "Let's get this signed." "Dad," I croaked. "Please don't." He rolled his eyes. "Spare me, Ava. You chose to leave. You wanted to find purpose, remember?" He raised his fingers in mocking air quotes. "You walked away from this family to work in some clinic overseas. And for what? No money, no title. Just wasted time. You never asked why I left," I whispered. "You never cared. And I still don't," he snapped. "Ryan stayed. Ryan showed loyalty. He showed you what you wanted to see," I said softly. "But he lied to you." My father laughed bitterly. "That's jealousy talking." The attorney, a silver-haired man named Mr. Whitman, shifted uncomfortably. His fingers tightened around the leather folder in front of him. "Actually," he said, clearing his throat, "before anyone signs, there's something you should hear." My father frowned. "What is it?" "There's a sealed amendment to the will," Mr. Whitman replied. "Added 6 years ago at the request of your late mother." My heart skipped. My grandmother, the only one who ever truly saw me. The one who used to say I had more strength in my silence than most people had in their loudest moments. "What amendment?" my father barked. Mr. Whitman calmly opened the folder and withdrew a yellow document. "This was filed during your mother's final notary appointment. Her instructions were clear. It was to remain sealed unless you ever attempted to disinherit Ava." My father's face twitched. "That's absurd. She had no such authority." "She did," Whitman said, his voice firmer now. "Your mother retained 51% ownership in Harborcrest Holdings until her death. Legally, she had every right." Ryan shifted in his seat. My stepmother froze, her fingers still resting on the diamond pendant she wore whenever she needed to feel powerful. Mr. Whitman turned to me. "Miss Ava, would you like to read it, or shall I?" I didn't move. My eyes stayed fixed on the envelope in Ryan's hand. "Read it," I said softly. He unfolded the paper and began. "In the event that my granddaughter, Ava Whitmore, is deemed unworthy by her father, I hereby grant her full authority over my share of Harborcrest Holdings, to be enacted immediately. All voting rights are to be transferred to her name upon activation of this clause. This amendment shall override any prior agreements regarding company or estate ownership." Silence. Only the sound of rain tapping against the windows, softer now, as though even the storm was holding its breath. "What the hell does that mean?" my father growled. "It means," Mr. Whitman said, turning toward me, "your daughter is now the majority shareholder. Nothing signed today can override that." My father shot to his feet. The chair screeched across the floor. "This is absurd. She doesn't even understand the business." "Maybe not your version of it," I said, standing slowly. "But I know how to lead, how to protect, how to build without tearing people down." I stepped forward. "You said I was useless, but I never needed your validation." I turned to Mr. Whitman. "Let's move forward. We have a company to run." Ryan stared at the table. My stepmother opened her mouth to speak, but said nothing. My father remained standing, frozen. For the first time in my life, I saw something in his eyes I never expected. Fear. Not the kind that lashes out. The kind that sinks in. Quiet. Soul deep. "Please sit," I said gently. Not to shame him. I wasn't here for revenge. I only ever wanted what had been withheld from me for decades, dignity. But he didn't move. Instead, Ryan finally spoke. "Wait. This isn't right." She left. He looked around the room, searching for backup. She wanted no part of this. She ran off to help people or something. I built homes for women escaping abuse, I said evenly. Funded transitional housing for veterans. I didn't run away. I ran toward something that mattered. He scoffed. That's nice, but you don't know how to run Harborcrest. I know enough, I said, locking eyes with him, to know you've been skimming company funds through a shell corporation registered under your college roommate's name. Ryan paled. My stepmother gasped. Ava, stop. This is family. Was it? I asked, voice shaking. When you stayed silent as he called me a failure. When he handed everything to Ryan and ignored what I sacrificed for all of you. You were never built for this world, she whispered. No, I nodded. You made that very clear. But Grandma thought differently. Mr. Whitman cleared his throat. Miss Ava, your grandmother didn't just leave you shares. She left something else, to be given only at this moment. He opened his briefcase and pulled out a small, weathered box. Inside was her gold-plated compass. Beneath it, a folded letter with my name in her delicate handwriting. My fingers trembled as I opened it. My dearest Ava, if you're reading this, your father has done exactly what I feared. Don't hate him. He's a product of a world that told him power must be loud. But you were never weak. You are the quiet strength that held us together. This compass is yours now, because no matter what path you take, I trust you to lead. Tears threatened, but I blinked them back. I turned to Mr. Whitman. Let's proceed. As I signed the acknowledgement of my controlling stake, my father finally spoke. You think this makes you powerful, he said, voice low. You think she gave you this out of love? She did it to spite me. I looked at him, not as a daughter desperate for approval, but as a woman who finally saw the truth. No, I said. She did it because she believed in me, and she knew I'd use this power to build, not break. Then I walked out, head held high, years of rejection sliding off my shoulders like rust. But outside those doors, there was no peace. There was war. Because power doesn't just shift, it invites enemies. And Ryan wasn't done. I'd barely stepped into the corridor when I heard footsteps behind me. Ava! Ryan called. I turned. His voice was calm, but his eyes betrayed him, calculating, cold. You don't have to do this, he said. Do what? Push me out, he shrugged. That's your next move, right? I haven't made any moves, I said softly. I just stood up. He chuckled, low and bitter. You think signing some papers makes you powerful? You don't have the backbone to lead. My heart pounded, but I didn't flinch. I'm not here to prove anything to you, Ryan. I'm here to lead, with integrity. Something this family seems to have forgotten. He stepped closer, too close. I give you 2 months, he sneered, before you crawl back. The company isn't a charity. Ava, it's a battlefield. No, I replied, lifting my chin. It's a platform, and I'll use it to build, not break. You really are naive, he muttered, shaking his head as he turned and walked away. But something in the way he left stuck with me, his clenched fists, the tension in his shoulders. That wasn't surrender. It was a warning. The next few days rolled in like thunderclouds. The news spread fast. Ava Whitmore was back, and this time, she wasn't just visiting. People whispered my name like it was part of a ghost story. Some were hopeful, others afraid. I didn't fire anyone. I didn't hold flashy meetings. I listened. And what I found beneath the surface was worse than I expected. Departments were pitted against each other. Promotions handed out for loyalty, not merit. Employee burnout was ignored or hidden. This wasn't a company, it was a kingdom. And Ryan had been trained by the king. One afternoon, I walked into the break room. Conversations froze. Please, I said, raising a hand. You're on break. Sit. Eat. A janitor named Rosa stood, hesitant. We weren't allowed to sit when Mr. Ryan was in the building. I blinked. That changes today. Her face softened. That night I stayed late. Dug through reports. What I found? 3 misused budgets. A shady supplier deal. And a list of employees terminated after raising concerns. This wasn't just mismanagement. It was rot. And if I didn't act fast, I'd be the one blamed when it all fell apart. The next morning, Ryan stormed into my office with a folder. You want the CEO's seat? He snapped. Let's see if you survive this. He tossed the folder onto my desk. Screenshots. Emails. Photos. These are fake, I said, flipping through them. Can you prove it? He smirked. You really want to destroy me? I want what's mine, he hissed. You were never meant to win. I stood slowly. I don't want to win, Ryan. I want to fix what you broke. I see power, he sneered. You see weakness. Then he walked out, and I realized this wasn't a rivalry. It was a war. Within 48 hours, the headlines exploded. New CEO accused in charity fraud. Family feud at Harborcrest Holdings. Ava Whitmore, legacy leader or liability. It didn't matter that it wasn't true. The public didn't wait for the truth. My inbox lit up with PR alerts. My phone didn't stop. Shareholders panicked. I had barely started, and already I was bleeding credibility. I told myself to stay calm. But late one night, locked in my office, I broke. Not loud. Not messy. Just silent sobs on the couch. I wasn't crying because they didn't believe me. I was crying because maybe my father had been right. Maybe I wasn't cut out for this. Then came a soft knock. I wiped my eyes quickly. The door opened anyway. Rosa stepped inside with a paper cup. Thought you could use this. You didn't have to, I whispered. You looked like you needed it, she said gently. No one brought me anything when I cried in this office. Maybe someone should break the cycle. Something in me cracked again, but softer this time. Thank you, I said. She sat across from me. Miss Ava, she said. Do you want to know the truth about your family? I looked up, unsure. I've worked here 28 years, she nodded. I've seen what they hide. And you always looked me in the eye. My throat tightened. I couldn't speak. You may feel alone now, she continued, but you've got something they'll never have. Loyalty earned through kindness. Why are you helping me? I asked. Because someone once helped me when no one else did, she smiled. And because this company doesn't need another king. She reached over and tapped the compass still in my blazer pocket. It needs a healer. The next morning, I walked into the boardroom with quiet resolve. They spoke first, accusations, doubts, demands. One shareholder even threatened a lawsuit. When they were done, I stood. If anyone here can prove those documents are real, I said, clear and calm, I'll step down today. Silence. Then I laid the real reports on the table, evidence of Ryan's financial misconduct, the hush money, the side deals. I turned on the projector. Footage appeared. Ryan entering a restricted office, plugging in a USB, transferring files. The timestamp matched when the forgeries were created. Still, no one spoke. Truth matters, I said. But I didn't come here to destroy my brother. I came to repair what he broke. I turned to the company's attorney. My grandmother didn't leave me this role because I was perfect. She left it because I still believe in people, even the ones who hurt me. I'm not pressing charges, I continued, but Ryan is suspended. A full investigation starts today. There were stunned faces. Then Mr. Halpern, a retired board member, stood. I doubted you, he said. Thought you were just another idealist. But today you reminded me why we built this company. It was about people, not power. And just like that, the tide shifted. Ryan didn't come back. But 2 days later, I received a letter in his handwriting. Ava, I don't expect forgiveness. I didn't just want control. I wanted to be seen. I always thought you got the love I never did. Maybe you just earned it differently. I folded the letter gently and placed it beside my grandmother's compass. Not every ending comes with a battle. Some arrive quietly, and some beginnings are born from grace. The office felt different now. Not quieter, just more awake. It had been a month since the boardroom turned. The media retracted the false claims. Some called it luck, but those who mattered knew the truth. Not because I shouted louder, but because I stood firm, rooted in integrity. Only one person still hadn't reached out. My father. No calls. No messages. Not even a lawyer. I assumed he disappeared, nursing his pride and blaming the world. Until one quiet Sunday morning. I walked into my office, and he was already there, sitting across from my desk. Hands folded. Eyes tired. I had to see it, he said. See what? That you didn't burn it down. I said nothing. He looked older. Not like a man in command, but like someone who'd lost something that mattered. You were right, he said softly. About me. About Ryan. about how this place stopped being about people. I studied him, unsure whether I could believe it. "Why now?" I asked. He reached into his coat and pulled out a photo. Me and Grandma. I was 12, covered in paint. She was laughing. "She said you'd change this family," he whispered. I just didn't want to believe it. "If I did," I said quietly, "it's because she believed in me." He nodded. I came to say something I should have said a long time ago. Then he looked at me. "I'm sorry, Ava, for everything." Part of me wanted to tell him it was too late. But healing doesn't begin with blame. It begins when someone decides to break the cycle. So I nodded. "Thank you. I just needed to say it before I ran out of time." "Then don't," I said. "Fix what you can. It's not too late." He didn't answer, just gave me one final look, then slipped out the door. 2 weeks later, Rosa stepped into my office with a folder. "What's this?" I asked. "A list," she said softly, "of every employee your father let go for speaking up. I figured you'd want to see it." I opened the file and read every name. Then we sent out letters, each one an invitation to return, no questions asked. Not because I needed redemption, but because legacy isn't built on bloodlines. It's built on how you make people feel when you leave the room. Months passed. The company didn't look flashier. It looked warmer. Ryan never came back. But we met once, over coffee. No apologies. No digging up the past. Just two siblings trying to understand each other. And maybe that was enough. My father kept his distance. But one day I received a receipt, a 7-figure donation made in my name, to the women's shelter where I used to work. No note, no signature, just his quiet way of saying he was trying. And that, somehow, was enough. Because I didn't get revenge. I got something stronger. Respect, peace, and a future no one could take away. Now, when I walk into the boardroom, I don't hear whispers. I hear footsteps of people who believe in me. All because, once upon a time, someone told me I was nothing, and I proved them wrong, without becoming them. If my story stirred something in you, drop a comment below. Tell me what part hit hardest. Tell me what you would have done. I read every word, because connection is what this journey has always been about. And if you're facing your own moment of being underestimated, know this. You don't have to shout to be heard. You just have to stand steady in your truth. Subscribe if you believe in healing through strength, and strength through kindness. Because sometimes, the quietest ones carry the loudest legacies.